Waiting gonna be worth it. In a quiet village nestled at the base of sprawling hills, there lived a young farmer named Arjun. He was well known in his village, not because of his wealth or success, but for his remarkable patience and unwavering work ethic. For as long as anyone could remember, Arjun had worked on the family farm, tending to his fields with a quiet dedication. But despite his efforts, Arjun's fields always seemed to yield less than the others. His crops were often smaller and the harvests never quite as bountiful. While the other farmers celebrated their successes, Arjun often stood by his modest field, wondering if his patience and hard work would ever truly pay off. One year, a drought descended upon the land. The rains, which usually came in abundance, stayed away, and the earth began to crack under the relentless sun. Crops withered under the heat, and many farmers in the village gave up hope. They abandoned their fields, turning instead to whatever little resources they had saved from previous seasons. But not Arjun. Every morning Arjun would rise before dawn, gathering water from the village well and carefully rationing it for his crops. He would inspect each plant, watering it with care, reinforcing the soil, and repairing the fences that had been weakened by the strong winds. "Why do you bother?" asked his friend Raghav, another farmer from the village. "Look around, Arjun. The earth is dry. The sky shows no sign of rain. You're wasting your time." Arjun wiped the sweat from his brow and smiled softly. "Maybe," he replied, "but I have faith that things will change. Waiting is hard, but I believe waiting is going to be worth it." As the weeks passed, Arjun's hope began to waver. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the few clouds that appeared were fleeting. Each night, he would sit at the edge of his field, looking up at the stars, wondering if his patience was in vain. One evening, as he sat quietly by his fields, an old man from the village approached him. His name was Balaram, a wise elder known for his deep knowledge of the land and its ways. He had seen many seasons come and go, and the villagers often sought his advice in times of need. "Arjun," Balaram began, his voice gentle yet strong, "I have watched you over the past months. While others have given up, you have not. You have tended to your land as if the rains had come, even when they had not. This patience of yours, it will not go unrewarded." Arjun looked up, his eyes weary but full of hope. "But what if it's all for nothing?" he asked quietly. "What if I wait, and nothing ever grows?" Balaram smiled, his eyes twinkling with the wisdom of many years. "Patience is the key to many things in life, Arjun. Nature has its own rhythm. The roots of your crops dig deep, even when you cannot see them. The efforts you put in today will bear fruit, even if not in the way you expect." With that, the old man turned and walked away, leaving Arjun to ponder his words. Days turned into weeks, and Arjun continued his work. The other farmers in the village grew more and more concerned for him. "You're wasting your time," they would say. "The season is lost." But Arjun pressed on, trusting in Balaram's words. His hands were calloused and his back ached, but he refused to abandon his fields. Then, one night, the air began to change. A cool breeze swept through the village, and the clouds that had been absent for so long began to gather. By morning, the sky was dark, and the first drops of rain began to fall. It was a light rain at first, but soon it turned into a downpour, drenching the parched earth. For days, the rain fell, quenching the thirst of the land. When the skies finally cleared, something remarkable happened. While the fields of the other farmers remained barren, Arjun's crops began to grow, slowly at first, but then with a vigor that no one had seen before. His plants were stronger, their roots having grown deep during the drought, searching for moisture. The efforts he had put into his fields during the hardest of times were now paying off. The other villagers were astonished. "How did this happen?" they asked, watching in awe as Arjun's fields flourished. "It wasn't easy," Arjun replied, smiling as he looked over his thriving crops. "There were many days when I doubted myself, but I kept going because I believed that waiting would be worth it. And now, I see that it was." The story of Arjun spread far and wide. Farmers from neighboring villages came to see his fields, marveling at how they had survived the drought and flourished when others had failed. And soon, Arjun's message began to take root in the hearts of those around him, that patience and perseverance, even in the face of adversity, would always be rewarded in time. Years later, when people asked Arjun about his success, he would tell them the same thing. "Waiting is hard, but when you believe in what you're working toward, waiting is always going to be worth it."